Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This article that I have here talks about Moscow's ultimatum to Ukraine. I read another article in which it doesn't sound like an ultimatum. It sounds like this: stop continuing this bloodshed because you're gonna lose anyway, and you are gonna have a lot of death people over there and destruction. Like, stop resisting, agree with our terms, and everything will be over. Instead of putting your population, your fighters, into the grinding machine. So this is what Lavrov, I think, conveyed, and much more. So let's see what this article says about Lavrov's statements. Remember, put your glasses and your goggles, because this article comes from from Reuters, which is obviously a Western media outlet. So you be careful. Not to get swayed into their propaganda, like you would get drawn into the Russian propaganda or Ukrainian propaganda. Now, Moscow's ultimatum: Ukraine fulfills its proposals or Russian army will decide. So you either accept or we're going to destroy you. I don't think these guys are bluffing or showing their muscles. I think they're in a position where I think the Americans and the Ukrainians know very well that they are done. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. It's a possibility. Now, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov gave Ukraine an ultimatum on Monday to fulfill Moscow's proposals, including surrendering territory Russia controls, or its army would decide the issue a day after President Vladimir Putin said he was open to talks. They keep saying this, like Putin is like bending over or bending his knee. He was always open to negotiate and to talk. And I read what exactly Putin said. He said, talk, let's come and talk. But he did not, how should I put it, bowed down or said, okay, but our initial requirements are just, we're just gonna forget about them. No, I'm open to talk to you, but remember those force requirements for which I came over? Well, those are over there. Let's talk. Those will be over there. We continue to fight to fulfill those. Kiev and its Western allies have dismissed Putin's offer to talk, with his forces battering Ukrainian towns with missiles and rockets, and Moscow continuing to demand that Kiev recognize its conquest of a fifth of the country. Now, I gotta tell you, the other article that I read about this one was more logical and not fulfilled with omissions of, how should I put, acts, historical events that occurred. But it's okay. And I'm quoting right now Mr. Lavrov, at least that's what we can take, and take it to the bank. Our proposals for the demilitarization and denazification of the territories controlled by the regime, the elimination of threats to Russia's security emanating from there, including our new lands, are well known to the enemy. End quote. State news agency TASS quoted Lavrov as saying late on Monday. And I'm quoting, "The point is simple. Fulfill them for your own good. Otherwise, the issue will be decided by the Russian army." End quote. Russian army. It is not Russian troops, it is not Russian forces, it's the Russian army. I haven't heard this lately, actually I almost at all, because Russia did not use its Russian army. It uses its Russian army this much, but not the Russian army of, 30 million people that it can muster through a general mobilization. That's what I consider, just to clarify what I consider the Russian army. The Russian army is the one that, for instance, fought the Germans in the Second World War and pushed them back to Berlin. That's the Russian army. So when you talk about the Russian army, you don't talk about 150,000 people or 200,000 people or 300,000 people. That's like a small contingent of the Russian army. That's how I see it. Okay, and when they talk about the Russian army is coming, believe me, they don't talk about that. They don't think about those 200,000 people. And why do I say 200,000 people? Remember at the beginning of the special military operation, that's how it started. They brought about 150,000 Russian troops at the border. Now Russian troops, and then they brought auxiliaries, which is Kadyrovites, Wagner Group, other subjects of the Russian Federation. And then when they crossed the border into Ukraine, in Donetsk, Luhansk, Donbass, whatever you want to call all that, Kherson, in the territories, in the eastern territories of Ukraine, the ones that, the breakaway territories, those people over there, they joined them. So obviously the Russian, I don't want to say, that's why it's very Russian troops increased, but it was not the Russian military. When they conducted that partial mobilization of 82,000 or 182,000, depending how you take it, not 300,000, but up to. Now those became Russian, from a Russian military, not Russian army. That was adding to the auxiliaries and part of small contingents of the Russian military, Russian army. So that, it seems like, played a big role. Since then, when those guys came to the front, plus more military equipment, then the Russians switched the term, I think, and their tactics from when they retreated and they went across the Dnieper River. That was the moment when they decided, wait, that was before the mobilization, we are going to go to war. Not all war, not total war, not all war, because they're not going to have 30 million people, general mobilization, the Russian army, to come over there, no. But they switched it from, okay, this is not a military operation, that we're going to just do a few hits here and we're going to win. It seems like those guys from the other side, the sponsors, got involved in everything with both feet. So it's not like they just a little bit here. They're all in. So then they switched. They know this is a war here, and we're going to mobilize these guys. We're going to change the tactic. We're going to destroy the infrastructure. That's after the Kerch Bridge, the Crimean Bridge that was attacked by the Ukrainians, and all that. So this is when things turned. And it seems like the Russians right now are ready to really, and they know, and the Ukrainians know, and the Americans know. They know the exact situation. You and I might not know it. We just get what they give us, and we put together. We listen to that guy that has the information. We read this one that got information. We make some phone calls, maybe. We do certain things, and you find out and say, well, I think this is what it is. But we don't know the exact thing. But they know it. And when they make this kind of statements, I don't think, but that the Russians are just bluffing or, trying to show their biceps and say, look how strong I am, or something like that. I think they communicate to the Ukrainians, we're going to fuck you up, and you know it. Stop this shit, you're going to lose anyway. We're about to break through and avoid more death on both sides. On both sides. Now, of course, the Ukrainians will say, what are you talking about? You take our land. What should we agree to your, whatever you impose, and so on? Well, from the Russian side, it sounds like this. Nice try. Nice try NATO, nice try United States, nice try European Union, nice try Ukrainians. That's it, you lost. I think that's what they say. Now, the Ukrainians, that's their territory, they should defend it, that's their nation, and so on. Unfortunately, what I personally do not like about this is that Ukrainian nation is used in this bullshit. That is what I don't care about Zelensky and all those guys over there. They decided, they choose to belong to the other guys and try to destroy these ones. So I don't care about those guys. Those guys, I think, are just working not for Ukraine. I think they work for their own interest and other interests, not for the Ukrainian population. Ukrainian population here is the big victim, big victim. And it's not because, oh, the Russians invaded. All this could have been avoided with 2014, 2015 Minsk agreements. That could have been avoided. They signed, after all, and it could have been avoided if the coup in 2014 wasn't, how do you call it, organized and conducted and completed by certain kind of people, or the expansion of NATO towards the Russian border. That's another reason, and so on. Too many. Instead of becoming, I don't know, kind of like allies, NATO and Russia, someone decided that no, we're gonna just destroy you. And unfortunately for them, it did not work that way. And now the Russians are paying with their culture, territory, blood, and all that. And the Russians, and the other guys are counting the money and looking at, oh, what are those guys doing? Okay. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.